willing to admit I was wrong about the Boston Celtics. Throughout a majority of the season, I thought they were frauds, and that's because we've seen this happen before. They dominate the regular season, they're the #1 seed, they get all these wins, they do all this great stuff, but they never actually seem to show up in the playoffs. They always crumble every single time, and I thought this was just going to be another one of those years. Now, had I known their playoff run was going to be this easy, maybe I would have been right from the beginning. I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about their playoff run being super easy, at least for right now, because the first thing we need to talk about is Jaylen Brown winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I didn't really want the Boston Celtics to win this series because I am a fan of Tyrese Halliburton, but if there's one person on the Boston Celtics that I enjoy seeing win, it is Jaylen Brown. Also Drew Holiday, but Jaylen Brown especially. So words can't describe how happy I am to see this man finally get some flowers. He is the most underrated player in the entire league. I don't care what you say. So the fact he was up there to get that award, I mean, even he was surprised. He talked about it in his post-game interview.
I wasn't expecting it at all. You know, I'll never win shit, so.
But with him averaging 30 points in this series, having an insanely clutch three-pointer, and I'm pretty sure it was game 1, also having a game where he put up 40 points, I mean, this was the most deserved conference finals MVP that we've had. It is a fairly new award, so I guess that's not too crazy of a title to give someone. But considering Jason Tatum had a couple off nights, it is important and huge that they had Jaylen Brown there and ready to go throughout this entire playoff run. I also just want to say, I know that Jason Tatum did have a good series, and he also did average like 30-something points, but I'm so happy that they didn't give it to him just for PR reasons, like just for recognition and because the fact that he is like the #1 guy on this team. But enough of that. Let's actually start talking about the game because it was rough on both ends. I mean, it really does feel like this series came down to just one thing, and that was turnovers. But not turnovers in like the first or second or third quarter. No, I'm talking about turnovers in like the last 3 minutes of the game. For some reason, it seemed to always be near the end of the game where we saw the Pacers especially have the worst decision making and just carelessness for the basketball. Like, I don't understand how they were able to do it, but for some reason, near the end of these games, they turn into completely different people. But it wasn't only the Pacers, because as soon as they would turn the ball over and the Celtics would get possession, the Celtics just forget how to score a basket. I mean, there would be a layup that they'd easily miss. They'd settle for some terrible three. It happened all the time. And that's kind of the reason why this series didn't really feel like a sweep, because it was close almost every single time. But somehow the Celtics would always pull it away. I'm pretty sure I heard them say on ESPN that the Celtics had a lead for only like 35 seconds of the last 10 minutes of the series, or some weird set like that. Maybe I'll find it and put it up on the screen. If not, then you just have to trust whatever I just said. I also feel like it's very important to give a lot of credit and respect to the Pacers. I said this on Twitter, which, by the way, go follow me on Twitter. It's right here. That you can say whatever you want about the Pacers losing this series. You can say whatever about them getting swept. You can laugh, you could do anything, but the fact that they made it this far, I don't think a single person on planet Earth, maybe in our entire damn solar system, thought that the Indiana Pacers were going to make the Eastern Conference Finals when this season started. Granted, they didn't have Pascal Siakam when the season started, but even then, I didn't think that Pascal Siakam was going to be enough to get them that far into the playoffs. But they made it this far, and whether or not you think that they did that because of injuries or just because they're a good team, I don't really care. I do have my own opinions on that, and we'll get to that here in a bit, but they made it there, and that's what really matters, and we need to give them all their flowers and credit that they deserve. Insanely big shout out to Nembhard for taking over for Tyrese Halliburton in this series. The guy was an absolute killer. Sorry, not for the whole series, but for some of the games in the series, you know what I mean? But when mentioning Tyrese, it is really sad that he wasn't able to play throughout this entire series. Now, I don't really think it would have had any difference in how the series did play out, because to me, it seemed like the Pacers actually lost hope after game 1. As soon as Jaylen Brown hit that game-winning three, or that game-tying three, I'm pretty sure to send it into overtime, when game 2 started, things just felt very different. They didn't seem to care that much. They seemed to think like it was already over, and I said in my last video that I don't know if it's because they were in Boston and they just wanted to leave already, but it was very rough to watch, and I think that's when we kind of knew that this series was going to be over. But I do want to make a video talking about the Pacers during the offseason, what they can do to help bring themselves back to this situation. But I think right now we need to talk about the elephant in the room, right? The biggest controversy surrounding this run for the Celtics, with the big question being, is this the easiest playoff run in NBA history? And I'll tell you right now, after researching and watching footage and all this stuff, this is by no means, not even anywhere near close to being the easiest playoff run of all time. What I will say though is that it has been very easy, because yeah, there was injuries. Like, we didn't see Jimmy Butler, a lot of Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Tyrese Halliburton. Like, these players were out, some of them for just a couple games, but I don't really think I'm wrong when I say that I would still have the Celtics beating those teams even if they were fully healthy. If anything, the biggest conversation should be surrounding the Pacers and their easy ass run to the Eastern Conference Finals. They went up against a heavily injured Bucks team. The Knicks were also heavily injured, but really became injured near the end of the series. So either way, there was going to be conversation around the easiest finals run of all time. I also don't think it helps when we see the Western Conference be like 10 times harder than any of these games in the East. Like seriously, the West has been absolute war every single series, and the East has just been like peaceful, like frolicking through the fucking flowers. But with all that being said, tomorrow for the Mavericks is a must-win game. I know that it sounds obvious because it'd be a sweep and they make their way to the finals, but what I'm saying is now you have the Boston Celtics resting up. Kristaps Porzingis is looking like he will be there for game 1 of the NBA Finals. And so if you're the Dallas Mavericks, you have Luka, who was on that fake ass knee injury. I'm still not buying that shit. The last thing you want to do is lose that game and then have to go all the way back to Minnesota and play that one there, then fly all the way back to Dallas, and you don't want to do any of that. That being said, I have the Mavericks still taking that series no matter what happens in game 4. And then for the Mavericks and Celtics matchup, I think I'm gonna take the I'm kidding. You're gonna have to watch my next NBA Finals preview video when that happens. So be sure to like and subscribe so you know when that video drops. I hope you guys all enjoyed. These were just my quick jot down thoughts. I appreciate it. Comment down below your opinions. What do you think of the Celtics run? Was it cheap? Was it easy? Just comment. I'll see you guys all next one. Later.